There's a Chinese saying that a son is his father's debtor from a previous life. This saying, to Bien Laolu, whose grave grass is already 2 feet high. He would agree with it with both hands. Go back 23 years. At that time, the forest on the hill behind the village hadn't been cut down yet. The scenery was beautiful, situated between our village and Bianzhuang. Between our village and Bianzhuang, the pond shaped like a horseshoe. It hadn't dried up either. These two places. We kids loved to go there. Especially in summer. We used to go there without telling our families. Until that day. A body was found in this pond. It was like this. There was a kid named Bien Lei in Bianzhuang. Suddenly disappeared at noon one day. Bien Lei's mother, Lu Xiaoying, didn't come back for dinner. She didn't come back for dinner. So she searched from house to house. It was hot at noon. Lu Xiaoying asked several houses. Her friends who used to play with her are all at home. Lu Xiaoying suspected that her son had gone to the pond. So she went looking for him in a hurry. There was heavy rain a few days ago. The water in the pond had risen again. From afar, it looked like a huge mouth. Lu Xiaoying panicked. No one responded to her calls. She saw a pair of sandals by the pond. It was very similar to my son's. Even the size was the same. Lu Xiaoying's tears rolled down her face. It was a hot day. But he felt like he was in a freezing cellar. He searched carefully along the pond. He didn't even see a ghost. Lu Xiaoying couldn't hold back any longer. She cried out, thinking her son must have drowned. She went back to the village to call for help. A few male laborers with good water skills went to the pond. They jumped into the water to see if they could touch Bien Lei's body. It didn't take long. They actually dragged a body out of the pond. It wasn't a braided base. It was a highly decomposed adult body. The onlookers were also puzzled. When did a person die in this pond? The body was wrapped in a cloth. And a popcorn maker in a bag. This is a novelty. If it wasn't for this iron lump, the body would have floated up by itself. Bien Lei found it later. It turns out, he and his friends sneaked into the pond to play in the morning. While playing, he felt dizzy. They saw an old man standing on the water, carrying a popcorn pot on his back. He pointed it out to his buddies. They all said they didn't see him. It was almost noon. They came back home. They realized their sandals were gone. Maybe they left them in the pond. They didn't dare go back to get them for fear of being scolded. So they hid them under the bed. Mother wouldn't come out even though she screamed at the top of her lungs. After a while, I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was dark. My stomach was growling with hunger. So I crawled out. Lu Xiaoying found her son. She cried and laughed at the same time. Like a child. He was supposed to be fishing for a sidewalk. But they found an unrelated corpse. The captain's awareness is still high. He deduced the murder case. At that time, the village didn't have a phone yet. He went to the police station under the sun to report the case. The authorities attached great importance to it. They used the popcorn popper as a breakthrough. They found out. The body is old Ma, a bachelor from Shirley village. He's been missing for half a year. It coincides with the time of the body's death. In his spare time, he liked to ride his bicycle with a big, wide back seat, with an iron basket on each side. dragging a popcorn pot around the neighboring villages. Popping a pot of corn. He'd earn $1 or 80 cents. It was pocket money. The villagers recalled. Old Ma came here the year before last. That time, there were many people holding corn flowers. He worked until dark before he was happy to be done. Next, the villagers fished out a broken bicycle from the bottom of the pond. It was Old Ma's bike. The villagers were talking about it. Who would be so heartless? Who would be so heartless as to kill this uncontested peddler? Because the bicycle had a mining lamp wrapped around. On the pedals of the bicycle. It's assumed that the murderer left it behind. We searched from house to house. The murderer was finally identified. Lu Xiaoying's husband, who works in the south. Bian Laolu arrested him overnight. At first, he didn't admit it. After one night, his psychological defense collapsed. When he found out that his son had disappeared, he found the body. He said he couldn't believe it. On the day of the murder, he went to Hong An's house in our village, drinking and playing cards. He'd been at home all day. He lost everything. He didn't have a dime left. It was dark when he got home. Hongan lent him a lamp to light his way. He was in a daze. He ran into Old Ma on his bicycle. Old Ma had made money. He was so happy. As he walked, he hummed "Sister on the Bow." Bian Laolu took the money. He had no place to take his anger. He saw the popcorn popper behind Old Ma. He thought, I took the money. He's happy. He's making money. With the strength of alcohol. I grabbed him by the neck. I yanked him down. Without saying a word, he threw a few punches. It's a bad luck for the old horse. He couldn't help but take a breath. He couldn't get it up. Surprisingly, he died. Bian Laolu was in a cold sweat. Seeing no one around, he took the popcorn pot and the big cloth bag, wrapped the old horse tightly. Together with the iron lump, he threw it into the pond. 10 minutes ago, he was planning to go home and buy a bottle of wine to drink. Now he sank to the bottom with a thud. After Bian Laolu dumped the body, Bian Laolu threw the body, and then he threw his bicycle to the edge of the pond and threw it in. The miner's lamp cord was a bit long. It was held up by the bicycle pedals. It also sank to the bottom of the water. But I didn't realize. This lamp became the key to solving the case. Hongan is the only miner in the whole village. After he lent the lamp to Bian Laolu that night, Bian Laolu said he lost it. We didn't return it. The villagers said. Old Ma's ghost is still with us after he was killed. Then Bian Laolu's son, saw it. He made up his own sandals and left them in the pond. But he was afraid his mother would scold him. He lay under the bed and didn't dare to come out. Lu Xiaoying thought he had drowned in the pond. So the whole village fished for them. The case surfaced.